So it is 6:30. So a very good evening and a warm welcome to all our expert panelists here this evening. As the world celebrates World Wetlands Day, we are very, very grateful for Climate Reality Project India and Mr. Bhavesh and myself, Elsie Gabriel, hosting this for our experts, our communities, and all our participants. Also, a very warm welcome. Bhavesh, do we have this on recording, please? So a very warm welcome. And we'd like to welcome our panelists here who found the time to share with us wetlands action for people and planet. The outlines on that. Welcome Dr. Krishna Ray from West Bengal University, Mr. Jignesh Gohil from Gujarat, all the work that he's done there at the Prakriti Nature Club, Mr. Sumit Arora, the Associate Director, Center for Wildlife Studies, and we have with us Mr. Lakshmi Deshpande, a veteran in mangroves for over 2 decades, Senior Manager at Godrej, Mumbai. And we will also most probably be having Dr. Eric Barucha. He is a well-renowned educationist and also a biodiversity expert. And Young Environmentalist Program Trust and Climate Reality Project warmly welcome you. And as you all know, today's theme for this year is wetlands action for nature and people. So it is all about solutions, it's all about action, it's all about measurable impact. So you will be hearing from our experts who will take you through their various areas of work. But we do have many Climate Reality Project India leaders already working in the mangroves, hands and foot in knee deep in the mangrove zones and the wetlands across India, all over the coast. And we're very proud and we honor them also today and for their contribution as well. And before I'd like to go further, I'd also like to say this year especially calls for solutions and action. So therefore, on behalf of Climate Reality Project India and Young Environmentalist Program, I invite you to collaborate. I also invite you to, join in to the wetlands wherever you are. I mean, people do have the notions that wetlands are mangroves just around the ocean coastal areas. No, but wherever you are, you can first of all identify your marshes, your ponds, your talaus, your lakes. These are all part of the wetland ecosystem. And since this is the ecosystem ecological restoration decade from 2021 to 2030, we call for action. First of all, identify these marshes and rivulets and ecological wetlands around your own area, wherever you may be. First, identify them. Then, if you'd like to donate your time and effort, collaborate. And when you collaborate, give your skills in a system which can be an extension of your help towards these restoration efforts made by experts. So you can either join the veterans, you can join conservation groups, and the government and the municipalities working in the wetland area. So once you donate your time and your action plan and you collaborate, of course, you'll be mapping after identifying, and you will be promoting citizen scientists. So I make a plea to our participants here today that World Wetlands Day is just not reserved for 2nd February today, and it's just not an annual celebration. It should be a year-long process. And if you're very, very interested, please go ahead and be a citizen scientist, and as well as collaborate and network and take this forward to your departments and experts in your area. And before I welcome Mr. Bhavesh Swami of Climate Reality, I'd also like to say, while we speak here today, it is an honor that we had thousands of students participating in World Wetlands Day essay competition, and a very, very good response. And we do have a few winners I'd like to announce before I hand over to this webinar. So our first prize winner was Aishana Kumar. I hope you're here and ready to collaborate and work with the experts. Our second prize winner was Shefali Raj. I hope you're here too. Congratulations. And our third winner was Rudransh, also St. Karen's, Patna. So a very big congratulations to all three of you. And please keep, your research work going. Very high standards of research and contribution, which they're going to be involving in their projects. So that was congratulatory message for our student and our youth community today. And of course, I'd like to hand over now to Mr. Bhavesh Sami, the lead for Clean Energy Climate Reality Project India, and he will take you down through the next stage. And warm welcome, Bhavesh, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Elsie, for this great initiative. I know you have been acting as a catalyst for across India, the northwest, east, south, the way we are working as far as wetland restoration and bringing stories to the fore is concerned. Friends, wetlands are important. They are lifelines. They are lungs to our ecosystems. Delhi, NCR. Let me give you an example from the very place I'm joining in. I live in Delhi, NCR, and more than humans, probably birds love the very ecology, the very wetlands that we are surrounded by. Most number of bird species are found at these wetlands, and the kind of respect that we are showing to these places is unfortunately not up to the mark. Reason? Probably uneducation, probably not understanding the importance that it carries. Elsie, the way you conducted those essay competitions, probably the future generation is coming to the folklore, is coming to the front end of it and sharing with their parents, with their near and dear ones, the importance and its. Beyond and besides that, all the esteemed panelists, all the experts who are joining in, we know you have stories to share, you have dedicated your life for the cause, and we are willing to get motivated more and more owing to it. More power to the collaboration, more power to the knowledge sharing that you are providing. We understand this is going to be a great seminar for times to come. Thank you so very much for everyone to join in, and over to you, Elsie, again.
Thank you, Bhavesh, so much. And just a few outlines for our participants here today. You will be allowed a question answer session. So you can raise your hand after the speakers, all the 5 speakers have expounded on today at the end of the evening. And we warmly welcome our very first speaker without much further ado, Dr. Krishna Ray from West Bengal University, Associate Professor. She's a veteran and she has been working in the field of mangroves and teaching as well. And she will give you all her training that she's been outlining for the community there, for more mangrove and wetland experts in various stratas of society and working among important stakeholders. It's a beautiful connect, and I hope Climate Reality Project India and young environmentalists will support you and work together in collaboration with you. A very warm welcome, Dr. Ray. Over to you.
Thank you, Elsie. I just want to share my screen.
Yes.
Just see whether it is full screen now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So on the onset, I want to express my heartfelt thanks to both Elsie and Bhavesh from the Climate Reality Project India chapter and the Young Environmentalist Program India. So it's actually it is a wonderful opportunity for me to share the story, what we actually work. Right now we are in a position so that we can share this story. We can say how is the restoration approach of ours, which we are adopting here in Sundarbans. It's different from others. So I just want to share the story with you. So I'm just skipping quickly the slides which are initial slides. These are very common for wetlands. We know this today, this wetland day is especially, this is special this year because United Nations, they have adopted at the General Assembly this day as an international day. So this is actually marks the convention of Ramsar Convention Day since 1971. So it's very general, and these are the themes of this Wetlands Day. We all know. I have just encircled the restore this activity because this is what I am going to do and I am doing right now, and I'm going to explain you how we are doing it. And there are several wetlands which are actually the aim of this. They come under these activities, which is being pledged by this World Wetland Day, and this mangrove ecosystem is one of them. And this is where I actually work. And why suddenly this wetland have been so important for our survival on Earth in this era of climate change? Because we know that according to IPCC, this blue carbon ecosystems like salt marshes, seagrasses, and mangroves, they actually sequester huge amount of carbon. So that can result in it can result in huge reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, which is actually required to combat this climate change effects. And along with that it has several multiple co-benefits also. So it will help several countries which are having wetlands to achieve a balance between these emissions and the removals of these greenhouse gases. But it also reminds us that it would be a very modest addition. It cannot be the replacement. If we cut down the fossil fuel use, that will result in much rapid reduction of this greenhouse gas emissions. But nevertheless, this is also very important, and it's unlikely to be more than 2% of the current total emission reduction by these particular blue carbon ecosystem, but still it holds it has great potential to mitigate and adaptation at this climate change level, at least at the national scale. We know at COP26 summit that our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, he has said that India will achieve net zero emissions latest by 2070. And I think this wetland conservation, its restoration, it could be it could have a major role in achieving this net zero emissions, apart from the use of this renewable energy, alternative energy use, or all these things. Okay, so let us strive hard. Okay, and these are, we all know these are carbon sinks. So I'm just quickly passing through these slides. We all know these are carbon sinks, and the sediments of this blue carbon ecosystems, they actually store around 50% of the carbon storage, which is actually circulated through the oceanic system, although they only occupy the 2% of the ecosystem. And this is the slide from IUCN site. I have borrowed from there. And here you can see the estuarine mangroves and oceanic mangroves, they store a huge amount of carbon, although their living biomass is much lower than the tropical forest, but they store a huge amount of soil organic carbon. So in that way, they can be, they have the major potential to cut down the greenhouse gas emissions. So I work on Indian Sundarbans, and we know this Indian Sundarbans, it has very recently in 2019, it has got the Ramsar framework, this designation. But Bangladesh Sundarbans, it already received that designation in 1992, and Sundarbans is also declared as a World Heritage Site in 1997. So this is just a topical view. This is from the watchtower of Bonny Camp, India Sundarbans, you can see. And this is the closer view. You can see series of, this is actually, this Indian Sundarbans mangrove ecosystem is very diverse. we see, I think after Bhitarkanika, this is I think it has the highest diversity, but not before Bhitarkanika. I think it has the highest diversity next to Indian Sundarbans. So this is you can see the fringes of Rhizophora. These are the Exicaria, Agalocha. This is Phoenix paludosa. These are other several mangroves. I think these are the Rhizophora seedlings, which are all coming up. So these are the closer view. But at this present moment, this ecosystem is very much threatened. And both the natural and anthropogenic stressors simultaneously, they are acting upon this unique ecosystem, and it is jeopardized. You know, we must be knowing about the Amphan, the recent cyclone, which happened here, which struck here in the May 22nd May of 2020. This is in September. This picture was taken in September. You can see I went there, and you see how much the mangrove ecosystem suffered. And even in 2021, 1 year after that, next September, this year September, this picture was taken. So a major part of the ecosystem is still, it is yet to recover from this cyclone attack. So these are the natural stressors acting on this ecosystem. Apart from that, you can see this is the totally dredged, degraded ecosystem landscape in this Indian Sundarbans. This is happening because of several anthropogenic activities like making of fisheries, making of embankments, clearing it for several others short-term gains. You can see this is some of the landscapes which is being generated, clearing out these mangroves. And just tell me, can you see this video? It's running. This is how it's being dredged. You see,
Yes.
might be their reason might be very noble. They're making an ardent embankment, but you see in the course of this activity, how many mangroves will be uprooted. They will clear the total, this fringe will be cleared out. This is how it is going there. And actually it was taken from far, because otherwise they will they might raise objections. So what our studies found, that this is you can see these are the 19 mangrove forests from Indian Sundarbans, and across this forest, these bars, they represent the coverage, this coverage area. And if we plot the sand percentage across this coverage, we see the sand is gradually, it's increasing, silt remaining unaffected, clay is going down, and the salinity is also fluctuating like this. It's on the higher range only. And here also you can see the soil organic carbon, it is also going down as the coverage is going down, phosphorus is going down, ammonia nitrogen is going down, sulfide is going high. So these are the nutritional status of both pristines and degraded mangroves when we studied. This is around 19 mangroves, across 19 mangroves. This data was published by us in 2019. So we understand that how much it is important to restore the degraded mangroves. And even General Assembly also declared this 2021 to 2030 as the decade on ecosystem restoration. So what do we actually mean by ecological restoration? We heard several terms which is almost synonymous to this ecological restoration, this afforestation, reforestation, plantation, all these things. So how does it differ from ecological restoration? So ecological restoration actually aims in bringing back the original native ecosystem. It is actually a process of secondary succession, and it promises that it will bring back the original flora, the original fauna of the ecosystem. And it is through human intervention we are doing this. It could have been done also if we leave it undisturbed, and if we allow the natural succession to play on it. It might happen, or we do not know how long it will take to come back to its original form, even if it at all it works. But here we are, human beings are intervening, And we are causing this secondary succession to occur, and the time span will be around 4 to 5 years. We expect that within 4 to 5 years, the original ecosystem will start coming back. So, and a major component of this type of ecological restoration is always large scale plantations. Of course, it should be like that. But apart from that, this modern concept says that apart from bringing back the original species composition, we also have to link our restoration program with the human well-being. So the ultimate, and here we have to use several site-specific approaches also. We don't know, the specific stressors may differ from site to site. So we have to utilize site-specific approaches along with that. So ultimately, our final goal will be full recovery of this damaged ecosystem to make it self-sustaining, and it should be so much, it will regain its full functionality, so that it will be able to provide ecosystem services, which it was supposed to do originally, and it should support the human livelihood. So whether how much we are doing this in our work, that is what I want to mention here. And what about mangrove ecosystem restoration? Mangrove ecosystem, the common perception across the world, including India, is mangrove ecosystem restoration is synonymous with the large-scale plantation, large-scale afforestation with the best locally available propagule. Sometimes it is Rhizophora, sometimes it's Soneraceae or Avicennia species, several species of Avicennia, then Bruguiera or series of Stagel at intertidal elevation. So this is not only in India, worldwide conception about mangrove restoration is like this. So a few glimpses of this. This is from Madagascar. You see, this is a monotype. We call it a monotypic plantations. So this is from Rhizophora species, monotypic plantation. This is from Madagascar. Another picture. This is from Mauritius. Here also. So this is also from Mauritius. This is also with Rhizophora. These only I collected from the manuals. And this is a picture from Indian Sundarbans. Here, the mostly available propagule is Bruguiera gymnorrhiza. So people often do plantations, which is synonymous to ecological restoration to them. So they do this type of plantation. And you can see this is 18 to 20 years old plantation by Bruguiera gymnorrhiza. And just look at its understory. We found that it's totally barren. I don't know why. So it might be some other reasons also, but usually I find that the understory of these Bruguiera plantations, these are totally barren. There is no secondary succession there, no grasses are coming up, no epifaunal members are coming up. I do not know why. And the same for this series of Stagel plantation. This is also a monotypic plantation. Here also you see the understory, this ground flora is, there is no naturally, this natural regeneration of seedlings. It's totally inhibited in this process. I do not know why, but it's happening. This is repeatedly I have seen. I have in my area where I work in Sundarbans, there this is the repetitive scene. I do not know across the world how it is happening, but the situation is totally different. It's contrasting in the this time mangroves. You see how their understory is coming up with dense the large number of seedlings are coming up always here. So it's a stark difference which I have observed so far. And IUCN Mangrove Specialist Group, they have also criticized this monoculture restoration, mangrove restoration strategy. And they're saying that this type of across the world, it is actually community-based mass planting. So they said that this is a media effective mass planting, and it neither substitute the biological function of natural mangroves nor compensate for losses of mangrove ecosystem, all these things they're saying. And it's also suggested by the mangrove scientists that multi-species diverse mangrove forest, that will be more resilient to combat the sea level rise because of its interspecific facilitation and below ground, increased below ground mass that will help in surface elevation. So with this background, we started our work in 2013-14 at a small patch. It's a 3.16 hectare. It's a very small patch at Ramganga village of Pathar Pratima block. It's a settlement area. Actually, this work was supported by totally Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. They have asked us to develop a model biorestoration technology of these mangroves, and this is just an experimental site. You see, this is the site. This is the Google imagery. This is on 2009. This is just before the Isla. 2009 also there was another cyclone which struck this region, and this is the imagery just before Isla. It's in March imagery. You can see the date. So this is already this is a small patch, and it was already degraded. And you see, there is a small village path, and just beside this, on this side, this is the cultivated land, and this is the mangrove patch. And this site was very vulnerable. It is often getting beached by the it's tidal water. They often, through this region, tidal water often invades and inundate these cultivated lands. So in 2009, there was a major beach here, and all these cultivated lands, they came under water. So after that, in 2014, there was a major construction here. This is a complete embankment construction, and this degraded site, which you have seen, this was like this in 2009, and 2014 it got much degraded, much more degraded, and you see it has become totally barren. So at this point of time, we started our work here. So, and this is 2020. This is a picture from November 2020 from Google Earth Imagery. This is the present condition of this site. You can see the stark contrast. This is 2014, and this is 2020. But this journey from 2014 to 2020 was not so simple. I'm just showing you. This is the video when we started our work. I'm just fast forwarding it. This is only the part of the site. And what we started, as it was a very vulnerable site for this erosion. It was already, all the time we are seeing that our site was having a loss of mass of soils. So we started with large scale plantation of grasses. You can see that this was the site. This is the part of the site. We started our large scale grass plantation at that time. This is at 2014. You can see. I'm just fast forwarding it because it will take a lot of time.
Yes, we are running out.
Yeah, it's already okay.
Wonderful.
And then this is the grass plantation. You can see this we started, and in 2015 we could achieve this situation when we can say that certain percentage of the land already got covered with grasses. And even now also for our ongoing sites, we follow the same strategy. And we found this grass rhizosphere is very rich in this organic carbon, ammonia, nitrogen, phosphorus, because it has loads of these nutrient cyclers, which are phosphorus solubilizing, which are nitrogen fixers, which are cellulose degraders, all these things. And as well as a great number of propagules, they get trapped in these grasses and they get naturally established. So this is an advantage of having large scale grass plantation. And along with that, we established a mangrove nursery where we multiplied 30 species of mangroves, including several near threatened lines, endangered lines, and which are not usually propagated by a forest department. So this is the 2000 scenario. This is 2016, 17, 18, and this after 2018 we didn't plant much of the propagules. We just stopped our plantations at 2018, and then we let the forest to multiply on its own. We just left it like this, and we asked the local people not to disturb the forest. So ultimately around 1,38,000 seedlings we transplanted there, and with 62% survival rate, which we measured at the mid 2021. And now, very recently, you see the situation over there. We conducted very recently a field-based workshop there, and you see the site, which was totally barren. Now, this is the condition of the site. This is the drone footage. I'm just fast forwarding it to show you. We actually, it is impenetrable. We have to make a way for our participants to enter there and to see the site. You can see that time we couldn't have much money to get the drone footage, But now, as the DBT has sponsored us for this workshop, we could get the drone footage, and this is the condition of the site right now. This is the overall condition, and this is the diversity. You see the site. We have established at least 30 species of mangroves, which are usually found in pristine forest of Sundarbans, and you can see the variability in leaf sizes and leaf forms. From that you can identify that these are the different species which we have introduced here, and they are actually occupying the canopy right now in this site. I'm just quickly fast forwarding it. The grasses are also there. Don't think the grasses are lost, they're also there. So I'm just fast forwarding it to, okay. And the ground flora also, this large number of naturally regenerated seedlings, they are also coming up regularly, you can see. But still it's far behind. This is our mangrove restoration site, and these are the numbers of naturally regenerated seedlings per hectare, but it is far behind the pristine mangroves. You see, it's still, it has to go a long way to achieve this kind of natural regeneration. Right now, this is from the pristine mangroves, so it's only 5 to 6 years, 2014 to 2022, but it's much higher than the monoculture plantation of mangroves, the number of regenerated seedlings. And these are the groups of the early career researchers who recently participated in the researchers, this Newton Bhabha Researchers Link workshop, which is organized right now. And here we gave training to these young researchers about this ecological restoration technology. And these are my field staff. They are my strength. They are sons of Sundarban soils. And my past students, they actually optimize the initial protocols of this restoration strategy, which we are following right now. And these are my present groups of students, who are taking it forward. And we are now, this restorations technology, it is being replicated about 60 hectares of degraded shoreline. And that is also with the support of Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. And my collaborators are Dr. Sandeep Kumar Basak, who is also my husband. He is the key field ecologist here. And of course, the Sundarbans Biosphere Reserve, the Department of Forest, West Bengal, they are also with us. And with their help, I can just actually...
Thank you so much, Dr. Ray. That was wonderful, elaborated so well. It really ignites us. And I hope your next training will be our batch of climate reality project leaders. I hope you will be training us, and it will be wonderful to have more knowledge and on the ground training in the Sundarbans. If we can organize for climate reality project leaders, it will be very, very valuable. Thank you so much for your insights.
I welcome your team. I invite you to come to Sundarbans and join us. I think I'd be more than happy to.
Yes, we are doing tree plantations, and if we can join hands with you, it will be fabulous.
Of course.
Thank you so much. This is just a technical note for the participants here. You may raise your hands at the end of the evening after the 5 speakers. So please raise your hands at the end of when all the 5 speakers have expounded their presentations. So we will go with the flow, and I would just like to know, Mr. Bhavesh, is Aditya ji here with us today? We warmly welcome him. He's the Chief of India and Asia.
Not as yet, Elsie. I'll let you know. Yeah, we'll continue.
Okay, all right, fine. So going further ahead, we like to welcome Mr. Jignesh M. Gohil. He is from the Prakruti Nature Club, Gujarat, and he's done immense work with the government, with the forest department, and with the community tribals there at the ocean. And unbelievably, Gujarat has a wide coastal mangrove area, which he will bring and enlighten us to. So over to you straight away, Mr. Jignesh. Jignesh ji?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Warm welcome.
प्रेजेंटेशन स्लाइड मेरा दिख रहा है मैम?
नॉट एज येट सर, आप एक बारी कोशिश कीजिए दोबारा।
हाँ, आ गया।
Thank you very much, LC ma'am and Bhavesh sir, today you give me a chance to present myself and my work. Full screen कर दीजिए। Yes. Full screen view?
Yes.
Okay. So, Gujarat state has one of the largest area under the wetland in the country, covering the 3,47,495 square kilometer, which accounts for about 70 to 56% geographical area of the state. And the total wetlands are in the state is 23.14 of the total wetlands of the country. So गुजरात ग्लोबली अगर देखा जाए तो गुजरात से ह्यूज पोटेंशियल है वेटलैंड्स के लिए, और वेटलैंड्स के अलावा बायोडाइवर्सिटी में भी बहुत ह्यूज ग्लोबली उसका पोटेंशियल रहता है। एज पर द सैक्स नेशनल वेटलैंड्स एटलास गुजरात के जो सर्वे के हिसाब से 16 मार्च 2016 को ने जो सर्वे किया है उसके हिसाब से 14,183 वेटलैंड्स विद इन द मैक्सिमम 2.25 हेक्टेयर ईच इन गुजरात। आउट ऑफ दिस, इसमें से 14,183 वेटलैंड्स ऐसी है जो 1,358 वेटलैंड्स 9.57 आर इनलैंड नेचुरल वेटलैंड्स covering the 3,200 square kilometer, whereas 10,075 wetlands 70.035% are inland man-made covering 3,400 square kilometer. So India wetland are spread across the 4.1 million hectares and it's many states. Today we shift your focus on the western state of Gujarat. गुजरात का जो हमारा एरिया है उस एरिया के आसपास में जो हमारा खास तौर पे अगर देखा जाए तो इसमें most wetland countries, several of these water bodies are present in the protected area such as the Little Run of Kutch, Porbandar Bird Sanctuary and the Marine National Park wetlands in the Greater Run of Kutch and Little Run of Kutch, along with the Khijadia Bird Sanctuary, Nal Sarovar Bird Sanctuary, Nani Kakrad, and Navsari and Priyaj Lake, the bird sanctuary are the Vadwana has been designed as a wetlands of national importance of the implementation of national wetland conservation program. Together with the rest of the states wetland, these water bodies house many and threatened flora and fauna, including birds like the marble till and the greater flamingo, which is the state bird of Gujarat. तो मैं आज आपके साथ जो बात करने जा रहा हूँ इन इतनी जो वेटलैंड्स है जो अभी हाईलाइट हो चुकी है, उसके अलावा और भी वेटलैंड जो हमारे एरिया जो गिर सोमनाथ एरिया के अंदर जो है उसमें हम वर्क करते हैं। जो 4 से 5 वेटलैंड्स ऐसी है जो अभी तक किसी को पता भी नहीं है, कुछ फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट गुजरात गवर्नमेंट को उसका आइडियाज है, और कुछ वेटलैंड्स ऐसी है जो अनटचेबल है। उस वेटलैंड के एरिया में हम काम कर रहे हैं। प्रकृति नेचर क्लब जो हमारा एनजीओ है एक्टिविटी सौराष्ट्र कोस्ट के गुजरात में काम कर रहा है, और वी वर्क टुवर्ड्स द प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ सी टर्टल्स नेस्ट हैबिटेट्स and especially on whale shark rescues. We saved more than 700 whale shark on sea coast of Saurashtra and sea creatures. In collaboration of Gujarat Forest Department, ये सारा जो वर्क हम कर रहे हैं, तो बहुत सारे एनजीओ ऐसे होते हैं कि जो डिपार्टमेंट के साथ उसका मेल मिलाप नहीं होता है, तो हम हमारा जो वर्क है हमारे एरिया में जो वर्क है वो हम डिपार्टमेंट के साथ मिलके करते हैं। और प्रकृति नेचर क्लब है वो माइग्रेटरी बर्ड्स जो हमारे एरिया में है वो भी बहुत सारे आते हैं। तो इस एरिया में हमारा जो वर्क रहता है वो फील्ड वर्क ज्यादा रहता है। मैं आज जो आपसे बात करने जा रहा हूँ, जिस वेटलैंड के बारे में बताने जा रहा हूँ, वो गिर सोमनाथ डिस्ट्रिक्ट के अंदर 5 पीपलवा नानावाड़ा वेटलैंड के बारे में बात करने जा रहा हूँ। तो इसका हिस्ट्री देखा जाए तो एरिया ऑफ डैम इज 3 हेक्टर डैम एरिया। इसमें रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट भी आता है, वाटर सप्लाई डिपार्टमेंट भी लगता है, और नानावाड़ा ग्राम पंचायत के अंडर में ये तीनों मिला के उसका थोड़ा थोड़ा पार्ट इसके अंदर डिवाइड हो जाता है। उसका जो फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट का, गुजरात फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट का जो बीट एरिया है वो नानावाड़ा छारा बीट लगता है। उसका जो रेंज है वो जामवाड़ा रेंज में आता है, तालुका कोडीनार है और डिस्ट्रिक्ट गिर सोमनाथ है। Area is of them has declared as a bird sanctuary। नानावाड़ा और 5 पीपल और फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट ने ऑलरेडी बर्ड सेंचुरी के तौर पे उसको डिक्लेयर कर चुके हैं। उसके अलावा और 3-4 वेटलैंड उसके आसपास में है जो अभी तक ऐसे ही है। मोर देन 50 पीसीस ऑफ बर्ड्स फाउंड इन द सेंचुरी एंड नियर वेटलैंड्स। So mainly pelican, crane, karkara, ruddy shelduck, pochard, mallard, saveller, flamingo, spotted billed, common teal, comduck and gargani, वो सब बर्ड्स पाए जाते हैं। एनिमल की अगर देखा जाए उस एरिया में तो नीलगाय है, जरक है, रेबिट है, लेपर्ड है, लोकड़ी है, पोर्क्यूपाइन और वीज है। ये सब जानवर जो है वो वेटलैंड के आसपास में और जो आसपास की कम्युनिटी है वो कम्युनिटी के आसपास में वो रहते हैं। तो जनरली बहुत सारे वेटलैंड के अंदर जो बर्ड्स है और वेटलैंड के आसपास का एरिया जो कम्युनिटी पीपल है, जो लोकल पीपल है, उसके साथ बहुत सारे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के बारे में भी मैं आगे बात करने वाला हूँ आगे की स्लाइड में। तो बहुत सारे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट भी उसके साथ होते रहते हैं। टू रीच 5 पीपलवा नानावाड़ा बंधारा is 3 kilometers away from Kodina, 50 kilometers away from Somnath Temple, 45 kilometers away from Deep and 10 kilometers Deep and कोडीनार के रास्ते में रहता है। ये कोडीनार तालुका का नानावाड़ा वेटलैंड बर्ड सेंचुरी। हम इस वेटलैंड के अंदर बर्ड काउंटिंग का एवरी 2 ईयर के ड्यूरेशन में हम करते हैं। हर 2 साल के बाद हम एक बर्ड काउंटिंग करते रहते हैं। और बर्ड काउंटिंग के दौरान अगर देखा जाए तो बहुत सारे बर्ड्स जनरली हम देखा जाए तो हमारा अक्टूबर नवंबर के आसपास, जैसे ही मानसून सीजन खत्म होने के बाद कितना बारिश होता है, बारिश के हिसाब से वो वेटलैंड के अंदर जब पानी भरता है तो उस हिसाब से बारिश के हिसाब से जो ठंड शुरू जैसे ही होने शुरू हो जाती है तो माइग्रेटरी बर्ड से वो आना शुरू हो जाते हैं। तो हमारा जनरली जो बर्ड काउंटिंग होता है वो जनवरी टू फरवरी, यानी जनवरी और फरवरी के दौरान ही ज्यादा बर्ड काउंटिंग हमारा रहता है। और रेगुलरली हम बर्ड काउंटिंग विद फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट के साथ मिलके करते हैं। ये जो नानावाड़ा वेटलैंड का जो एरिया है वहां पे बर्ड काउंटिंग हमारा रेगुलरली होता है। उसमें हम जो टीम डिवाइड करते हैं, अलग अलग टीम बनाते हैं। फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट के लोग, एनजीओ के हमारे मेंबर्स होते हैं, लोकल कम्युनिटी के सरपंच वगैरह को हम इन्वॉल्व करते हैं, क्योंकि अगर उसको पता नहीं चलेगा कि ये बर्ड का क्या वैल्यूज है इंटरनेशनली और ये वेटलैंड का क्या वैल्यूज है, तो उसके लिए उनको भी इन्वॉल्व करना जरूरी होता है। और उसको इन्वॉल्व करके हम टीम बना के बर्ड काउंटिंग का पूरा प्रोग्राम 2 दिन का करते हैं। 2 दिन के लिए हम बर्ड काउंटिंग करते हैं, एक शाम के टाइम में करते हैं, अर्ली मॉर्निंग में भी करते हैं। और उसी तरह से हम ये बर्ड काउंटिंग का रेगुलरली प्रोसेस करते रहते हैं। तो हर साल में हमने देखा है कि हमारे जो आसपास का एरिया है, जो बर्ड आते हैं, तो कभी कभी हम कुछ चीजें ऑब्जर्व करते हैं, क्योंकि कुछ बर्ड्स है तो वो कुछ टाइम पे लेट आते हैं। जैसे कि हमने एक बार एक चीज को बहुत गहराई से ऑब्जर्व किया कि हमने 3-4 साल एक जगह पर जाके हम देख रहे थे, तो बर्ड्स का जो आने का टाइमिंग, या कुछ बर्ड्स ऐसे थे जो उसी जगह पे उसी तिथि के ऊपर, यानी कि इस साल सपोज मान लो कि जिस तिथि पे बर्ड्स आया है, नेक्स्ट ईयर वो उसी तिथि के दिन वहां पे देखने को मिलेगा, अगले दिन वो नहीं था उधर। तो ऐसी चीजें भी छोटी छोटी हम ऑब्जर्व करते रहते हैं। हमारे यहाँ ये रावण ताड़ भी है बर्ड काउंटिंग का, ये 2011 में जो हमने काउंटिंग किया था, और उसमें भी फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट के साथ सारे फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट के लोग हमारे साथ जुड़ के मिलके काम करते हैं। और 2011, 12 और 12-13 में किया हुआ था। ये दूसरा एक जो बर्ड्स हमारा जो बर्ड सेंचुरी इधर है, उसमें सोडम बंधारा, जो उसके बाद बाजू में ही सोडम बंधारा, वो भी बहुत बड़ा वेटलैंड है वहां पर। और मेनली देखा जाए तो सोडम बंधारा जो है उसके आसपास में एक सोडम माता का टेम्पल और एक जननसा पीर का यहाँ पर एक दरगाह है। इसके बारे में देखा जाए तो यहाँ पे लोग मानता करने के लिए आते हैं जनरली, तो वहां पे डिस्टरबेंस बहुत हो जाता है, बर्ड्स को ज्यादा डिस्टर्ब इस एरिया में होने लगता है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे देखा जाए तो यहाँ हिंदू मुस्लिम धर्म का दोनों का मिलन है। यहाँ पे ऐसा बोला जाता है कि अगर दरगाह में अगर कोई मानता लेके जाता है तो उसको पहले माता जी के वहां चुंदड़ी चढ़ा के जाना पड़ता है, और जब कोई माता जी के लिए मानता लेके आता है तो दरगाह में चादर चढ़ा के फिर जाता है, तभी उसकी मानता पूरी होती है। तो ये भाई बहन का यहाँ पे एग्जाम्पल दिया है। तो ये भी इसके अंदर उसके पास ही, वेटलैंड के पास ही है। सोडम बंधारा का ये जो एरिया है वहां पे भी बहुत सारे बर्ड्स है, उसका नेस्टिंग और ब्रीडिंग का भी एरिया वहां पे डेवलप किया हुआ है। उसके अलावा मैं अदर वेटलैंड्स की बात करूं तो हमारा एक बड़ा कंजोतर है, यानी कि नानावाड़ा 5 पीपड़वा वेटलैंड के अलावा हमारा जो सोडम बंधारा वेटलैंड है वो भी बहुत बड़े एरिया में फैला हुआ है। बड़ा कंजोतर, थोड़ी एक एंड पचनावड़ा 12। अदर बायोडाइवर्सिटी की बात करें तो हम वर्ल्ड्स बिगेस्ट फिश वेल शार्क रेस्क्यूज कर चुके हैं। आगे देखा आपने 700 से भी ज्यादा वेल शार्क के रेस्क्यू हम फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट के साथ मिलके इस एरिया में कर रहे हैं। तो यहाँ पे जो हमारा जो कोस्टल समुद्र एरिया है तो उसमें हमें ये वेल शार्क का जो हमारा सेंटर पॉइंट है वो रेस्क्यू में पाया जाता है, और वहां से हम रेस्क्यू करते हैं। अदर वर्ल्ड सेकंड लार्जेस्ट ग्रीन सी टर्टल्स आर देयर इन आवर एरिया। गुजरात में पूरा जो हमारा एरिया है तो उसका इंडिया का पूरा अगर ग्रीन सी टर्टल की बात करें तो सबसे ज्यादा टर्टल ग्रीन सी टर्टल का नेस्टिंग है वो गुजरात के हमारे एरिया में पाया जाता है। लायन कंजर्वेशन है, तो कोस्टल लायन, जब लायन भीड़ से जब मूव होके हमारे कोस्टल एरिया में आए तो सबसे बड़ा खतरा जो कम्युनिटी का आजू बाजू में था, तो लायन कोस्टल पे घूमने लगे, वहीं पे बर्ड सेंचुरी भी थी, तो वो बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम रहता था। पर लायन से इतना कम्युनिटी को डर नहीं लगता जितना लेपर्ड से लगता है, तो लेपर्ड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ज्यादा होने के चांसेस उधर रहते हैं। तो हम वहां के आसपास की जो फिशिंग कम्युनिटी जो समुद्र में जाके फिशिंग करती है और वेटलैंड, तो दोनों एक बीच में बंधारा होता है, तो दोनों के बीच में बंधारा होता है, तो आसपास में जो बबुल का पूरा जंगल है तो वहां पे ये लेपर्ड ज्यादातर शाम के टाइम में घुस जाता है और पब्लिक के साथ, वहां के लोकल कम्युनिटी के साथ जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होने लगता है, तो उस दौरान पे भी हमारा इन्वॉल्वमेंट रहता है, उसको समझाना, लोग वहां पे ऐसा प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए या इस लेपर्ड वहां पे ना आए उसके लिए बहुत सारी वो करने के लिए तैयार होते हैं। पर हमें उसको समझाना पड़ता है, लोकल कम्युनिटी को समझाना पड़ता है कि सेंचुरी का एरिया भी है और उसके साथ साथ ये वेटलैंड का जो एरिया, अदर वेटलैंड का एरिया है, तो इस एरिया में बहुत सारे लेपर्ड के कॉन्फ्लिक्ट भी बढ़ चुके हैं। तो फिर छोटे छोटे कम्युनिटी के साथ उसको बिठा के समझाना पड़ता है, उसके साथ रह के फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट को साथ रख के बहुत सारे सेमिनार, बहुत सारे अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम करके हम उन लोगों को समझाते हैं। वल्चर काउंटिंग एंड कंजर्वेशन के लिए, क्योंकि गिरनार में ओनली वल्चर अवेलेबल इन आवर एरिया इज ओनली गिरनार, तो गिरनारी गिद्ध जो बोलते हैं तो वो वहां पे, तो उसका प्रोटेक्शन के लिए हमारा एनजीओ प्रकृति नेचर क्लब है, वो रेगुलरली बर्ड काउंटिंग करता है, वल्चर काउंटिंग करता है। तो हर 5 साल में एक वल्चर काउंटिंग, 3 साल में वल्चर काउंटिंग कभी होता है या कभी 5 साल हो जाता है। तो इस बार अभी 5 साल हो चुका है, क्योंकि कोरोना और कोविड के कारण 2 साल के लिए बीच में वो रह गया। मैंग्रोव प्लांटेशन की बात करें तो भावनगर एरिया, जो भावनगर का हमारा विक्टर का एरिया है, और महुआ का एरिया है वहां पे, नियर कोडीनार 10 किलोमीटर अवे फ्रॉम कोडीनार, कोटड़ा एंड माडवाड़ बंदर, वहां पे जो मडी एरियाज है उसमें अंदर भी हमने जीसी के माध्यम से मैंग्रोव प्लांटेशन किया हुआ है। और हमारे एरिया में कोरल रीफ जो है, जो अभी तक किसी को पता नहीं है, हमारे एनजीओ जो फील्ड वर्क करते उस दौरान हमने देखा कि वहाँ बहुत सारे कोरल रीफ्स है, तो समुद्र गिराने में तो इस एरिया जो प्रोटेक्टेड वहां जाने के लिए इजीली कोई पहुंच नहीं सकता, तो ऐसे कोरल रीफ को अभी तक कंजर्वेशन में संभाल के रखा है हमारे एरिया में। और रावण का जो ब्रांच पाम है वो भी हमारे एरिया में ज्यादा देखने को मिलता है, वो भी प्रोटेक्टेड स्पीसीज है। रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट की बात करें तो हम तो इतने एजुकेटेड नहीं है, ग्रेजुएशन पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन तक पढ़ाई की है, लेकिन हम जो एक्सपर्ट हमारे जो दूसरे प्रोफेसर से उसके साथ मिलकर हम प्रकृति नेचर क्लब की ओर से हमने कुछ रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट जो हमारा फील्ड एक्सपीरियंस था और उसका नॉलेज दोनों के मिला के हमने कुछ प्रोजेक्ट पे काम किया था। उसमें हमने we completed the 6th research project on biodiversity. About 3 projects are granted by government of Gujarat GEMI, and 3 river biodiversity, 3 wetland biodiversity, 2 sea water biodiversity. All research data published in national and international journals. So this is the location where हमने सी के अंदर जाके हमने जो रिसर्च सी वाटर का जो रिसर्च किया था उसका सैंपलिंग लिया था। फाइटोप्लैंक्टन, जूप्लैंक्टन डाइवर्सिटी के ऊपर हमने प्रोफेसर निकुल सर जो हमारे हैं उसके साथ मिलके हमने ये काम किया है। ये कुछ उसका डेटाज है।
Thank you so much, Jignesh bhai. Thank you so much. You are a real on the ground hero जिसको बोलते हैं ना, मतलब on ground hero. मतलब आप ये fields में काम करके, मतलब with the community, and the first time I'm hearing that in the mangroves you are really pioneering and spearheading the animal-man conflict in the mangrove and the wetland areas. So it is, you're a real ground hero. Kudos to you. And of course, Climate Reality Project India. And we would love to join hands for mangrove plantation in Gujarat. And we welcome more members from Gujarat to join Climate Reality Project India. So thank you so much for your elaborate explanation on all the work that you're doing. Truly, truly inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So we're just keeping the clock on the webinar timings, and we straight away go to our next speaker, Mr. Sumit Arora. A warm welcome, please. He's the Associate Director for the Center of Wildlife Studies, and he will speak to you on the outlines of how you should join the biodiversity and the ecological fight for restoration and for wetlands. Over to you, Sumit.
Thank you. I hope I'm all audible to everybody.
Yes.
Thank you. So thank you, Elsie, for this opportunity. And as you know, as I was very not very confident on coming on this webinar, I'm not an expert on wetlands. I'm in fact not an expert on wildlife also for now. I'll just give my introduction a little bit and then I'll just jump in. I don't have a presentation. I'll speak the least. I think the experts need more time. I'll just talk about what my experience has been in this domain and what motivated me. So I hope people will be motivated enough to join this space, and people from all walks of life can actually come in. Like, I'm not a wildlife guy, so let me just start with that. So I'm a tech guy. I've been involved in all my life in ways that technology can help more and more citizens of India. I'm a very recent entrant to the field of wildlife and environment, and I think it's only been 10 months. I'm officially working with Center for Wildlife Studies. At CWS, we work on conservation of wildlife and wildlands, and our focus area is essentially Western Ghats, which spans around Maharashtra, 5 states, which is Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala. And of course, as I mentioned already, I'm not an expert on wetlands and still trying to understand the wildlife space more and more. But what I know is wetlands are parallel to wildlands, and which are known to host exotic animals like elephants, tigers, leopards, and other, and wetlands also are hotspots of biodiversity, as our previous speakers already mentioned, and I think the other speakers will also talk a lot about their importance as biodiversity hotspots. And uh, other than hosting rich biodiversity like wetlands, they not only serve as purifications of air and and other wildlife spaces would do. They also help. Wetlands specifically help in numerous amount of ways. One is water purification. They act as water reservoirs. They help replenish groundwater. Again, there are biodiversity hot reservoirs and whatnot. And wetlands in themselves do so much for the planet that we also recreate wetlands to do water purification and do wastewater management. I mean, if you don't know about it, just read about it. We do construct wetlands for wastewater management, and the problem is that we don't protect what is naturally there. So that's where I think the restoration part and conservation part really comes in. While I can't stress enough on how important is the role of these natural spaces, speakers before me have already done that enough, and I think speakers after me will also talk about it. When we talk about environment and climate, all I know is conservation of wildlife, wildlands, and wetlands comes at last. We all talk about cleaning the air. We all talk about electric cars, cleaning the cities, but we don't really talk much about how important is the biodiversity, how important is wildlife, how important is wildlands and wetlands. We don't really talk about it, all in because we need land for development, and India is still a developing country in many standards, and we need that land for development, and that's why we deregulate a lot of forests, a lot of wetlands, or change in EIA, which makes it easy to convert these lands. So a lot of these things happen. All I know is it is important to figure out ways to conserve them. And how do we conserve them? By fighting the biodiversity, figuring out what are the endangered species and of flora and fauna are there. It's very important. The first thing that we can do is to measure with time using geospatial technologies, understand the degradation over time, and use AI to understand the biodiversity and much more. So even if you are a technology guy like me, you can actually help in figuring out ways to at least measure first, and then figure out ways to make sure that the restoration and conservation efforts that are going on are actually well kept, well managed, and well observed with the technology. One speaker before me was also talking about geospatial technologies they have used. They also have used drones. So a lot of these things come in handy when you talk about conservation space, when you want to be in the conservation space. So doesn't matter if you are a techie, if you are some a lawyer, talk about policy. If you are a just before me, Jignesh Pai was there, and he said he's not a expert in that, but he's still working a lot in the space of conservation. So you can be anyone and contribute towards it. At CWS, we recently worked on a platform called Wild Connect. It's again a technology platform which helps easy data collection in remote areas, and we are working on for making it further available to all other organizations also. So any of the partner organizations which are here, we are happy to give you a trial on this and then figure out if it works for you or not as soon as we are able to make it available for all the other organizations. uh, Essentially understand this space, do more research, so the awareness and on the awareness on the importance of this space can be spread, and let's find out solutions to conserve and restore wetlands and wildlands. CWS has also recently launched this year's PhD program in the conservation space. You can do research on species, human wildlife interaction. I think Jignesh was also talking about leopard conflict. So all these things are important to study and understand, because it is not just about conserving the biodiversity, it is also about the community which is living with them, how they are dependent and how their lives are impacted by this interaction with wildlife, wild spaces and wetlands. So it is very important. So you can do a research on human wildlife interaction, work on agroforestry. How do you convert graduate from regular monoculture farming to agroforestry, which is much more helpful to environment and also gives more income to the farmers. Wildlife diseases, there's so much to study in this space, and be an expert. Apply for such programs, apply for CWS and other non-profits, and who are working in this space, and be at the forefront of conservation in India. That's what my motivation was, because when I started working with technology with more and more citizens in India, I figured conservation space and environment space also needs people like me who can do the technology bit. Then there are people from various backgrounds who are also required to work towards policy, works toward laws, environmental laws, work towards data collection, work towards doing research of importance of biodiversity. So much is there. So if you are still thinking how you can do, connect with any of the speakers here, connect with me if you are techie. We'll be more than happy to help you be in this space. And again, just like conserving tiger is important, conserving elephant is important. Wetland also has so much biodiversity. Understand the space and contribute as much as you can. That's all from me. Thank you, Elsie.
Thank you so much, Sumit. That was absolutely wonderful. And I think I'm having a technical problem. Okay. Thank you so much, Sumit. Absolutely wonderful. You're absolutely a standing example of how, young people in the tech, how they can go ahead in whatever field of expertise they are in. So it is so important that various curriculum subjects and various, aptitudes all can contribute to a career in saving planet Earth. And it's a win-win situation in careers like this. So thank you so much for sharing and motivating our young audience here today. Am I audible?
Thank you. Yes, you are.
Okay, I'm happy. Okay. Yes, I can't hear my own self. All right, now I can. All right. So thank you so much, Sumit. And we are running, late on time. And to keep that in check, I'll straight away go on to our next speaker, Mr. Lakshmi Deshpande, the Senior Manager for Godrej Mangroves. I can't express, how much ever I say will be less. He is a veteran in the field of wetlands and biodiversity. I've known him for over 2 decades. We go way, way long back when he was really, really pioneering so many modules and establishments in various areas. He himself will expound. I leave it to him. Over to you, Amar.
Thank you, Elsie. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your kind and generous words. But as we all know, in nature, everybody is student. We learn day and night, and from the previous presentations itself, there was so much to learn. In fact, I may be a bit disappointing people because I'm going back to the basics. I'm starting with the basics because I know that in sessions like this, there are so many new people and people who do not have idea of wetlands and mangroves. So I am...
Amar, we can't see you. I think your video is off. Okay, you're starting a screen. That's fine.
Yeah. So is my screen visible now? Elsie?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
And can you see the presentation?
The presentation is not there yet. It's there now. We can see. Thanks.
All right. So here we start. So as previous speakers have already explained to us, wetlands are the places which are more or less covered with water for most of the years. So as Krishna ma'am and others telling, we have dams, creeks, coral reefs, ponds, lakes, seashores, bays, islands, lagoons, a diversity of them, both natural and man-made. When we talk about mangroves, the word mangrove is very interesting. It has come from Senegalese language, and the original word is mangue, which means into the sea, and grove is garden. So simply speaking, mangroves are the gardens that grow into the sea. These are intertidal forest, and not many people are aware that these are one of the most ancient ecosystems on the earth. So they have evolved around 114 million years back. So when dinosaurs were still roaming on the earth, when the Jurassic era was ending, the next era was Mesozoic era, when actually mangroves evolved on the earth. Of course, India being ancient country, we have one of the oldest civilizations. So we also have historic records of the mangroves. This is a temple in Chidambaram, and you can see an old priest worshipping deity of a tree. So that tree, my friends, is Milky Mangrove, and the temple was built by Chola dynasty. So this happens to be very, very, what do you say, earliest documented human record of mangroves. But mangroves are, of course, not limited only to India. They are found in 117 tropical and subtropical countries. And the reason why they are restricted to this particular green zone, you can see, is because the temperature, they require 16 to 20 degrees centigrade minimum temperature, warm water. And only these countries can provide that basic condition. That is why mangroves are found over there. Of course, India has a large coastline. The latest data shows that we have around 4,992 square kilometers of mangroves. The West Bengal being pioneer, shared by India and Bangladesh, Sundarban. I, of course, don't expect you to remember the numbers. I'm only taking you through this slides to tell you that a lot of communities depend on mangroves. And in fact, inland communities and states which do not face mangroves, or actually which do not experience mangroves, they also indirectly depend on mangroves in many ways. But life over here is not always simple. We know that the mangroves grow in saline environment, and there is excessive salt in the environment. So they have three key mechanisms to get rid from this salt. Either they will filter out, they will store, or they will excrete to their salt lands. Now, this picture is extremely important for us human beings also, not only for mangroves, for two reasons. The mangroves have almost 5 to 6 different types of roots, and these roots are very important for both rural and urban communities. They are important because they stop soil erosion. They stabilize the shoreline. I will give you a very basic example of Mumbai. I'm sure all of you have visited or seen Marine Drive, and you have seen those big stones called tetrapods. Every few years, crores of rupees are spent over there just in manufacturing these stones and replacing them at the site, because the very strong tidal waves will erode the stones as well. Whereas if you come to the east side of Mumbai, along the Thane Creek, this protection is provided free of cost by the mangroves. Second thing is, this particular root network also traps pollution. It converts the complex chemical pollutants into simple natural nutrients by their natural forces. That means they're actually recycling pollutants into nutrients, and they're reducing the pollution load on us. That is why they are very, very important. The most unique thing about mangroves, about these wetlands, which hardly any other plants show, is germination. In normal plants, what happens is the fruits will fall down, the seeds will germinate in the soil. Now, that luxury is not available to mangroves. Because friends, if the mangrove seeds fall down, it will be simply washed away with the low tides. So here what happens is the propagule, or the seed, will germinate on the parent plant itself. It will develop primitive root and shoot. And then this ready-made plant will actually anchor itself into the mud. And that is how mangroves germinate, which is called as vivipare germination. Sumit actually touched upon a very important point of importance and how other people can help in mangrove conservation. One does not have to be an environmentalist to conserve mangroves and wetlands. Even a CA, a fine artist, a graphic designer, a commerce person, an HR person, everybody can save mangroves. I will tell you why. The one important language that people today understand is language of money, which is unfortunately true. If all of us have read and, we have studied that mangroves are important, nature is important, but we don't remember it. Why? Because we never financially evaluate it. So now this technique is taking place in India and abroad. It is called TEEB, the Economics of Ecosystem and Biodiversity. So simply meaning, what we do is we calculate financial value of an ecosystem. Again, to give you an example, say, for example, in last 5 years alone, my team, me and my colleague and our volunteers, we have sensitized almost 56,000 people through nature trails and webinars. 56,000 people. Now that is free of cost. suppose we had charged people for this program, say even 100 rupees or 50 rupees, that means it could actually mean 5,60,000 rupees service that is provided because of the mangroves. So I have very simplified this example, but the kind of carbon dioxide which mangroves sequester, the amount of oxygen produced, the kind of shoreline stabilized, the livelihoods of the fisher folk that mangroves support. If you calculate all this value financially, it will come to billions of rupees, and actually it will convince the common man to protect our wetlands and mangroves. And that is why even at Godrej, we are also starting a research where we plan to actually evaluate what is the service Godrej mangroves provide, not only to Godrej, but to people. Now, there are 4 types of services that any ecosystem will provide. Okay. So the first type of service is provisioning. As the name suggests, it provides something. So whether these are Miswak Berries as food, the research and education value, timber and tannin from the mangroves, their contribution to freshwater cycle, some mangroves being under research for HIV and cancer, and even livelihoods that they provide by providing breeding grounds for fish and crabs and prawns and lobsters. So this service is the provisioning, which is the direct service. Then we also have regulating service. This picture is of Godrej mangroves. The endless expanse of greenery is in Vikhroli, Ghatkopar and Kanjurmarg suburbs. And again, to give you example, very pinpointed numerical example. We had 1 year research over here, LC. And what we did is we wanted to understand how much carbon sequestration these mangroves have taken place. So because as you know that those who are in Mumbai, that on the south side, we have Devnar dumping ground. And on the north side, we have Kanjurmarg dumping ground. And both these, kachra grounds, dumping grounds, emit carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases. So the mangroves become very important as a pollution stalker or pollution absorber. Now, our research tells us that as per in 2022 January, the Godrej mangroves have so far sequestered 10 lakh metric tons of carbon dioxide. Imagine 10 lakh metric tons of carbon dioxide stored, and every year additional 60,000 carbon dioxide being stored. Now, who will evaluate this kind of service? These are silent trees doing their job in nature, but we need to understand that. Then, of course, mangroves being borderline forest, they offer habitat to terrestrial diversity, intertidal diversity, and aquatic diversity. So whether golden jackal, these are pictures from again Vikhroli, the golden jackal over here and the wild boar we have, the Sundarbans host Royal Bengal tiger, the Andhra Pradesh host smooth-coated otter, Gujarat host Kharai camel. The list is endless. And this biodiversity cannot survive without mangroves. And that is why we have to protect them. Of course, each of these animals also have unique story. I'm not telling because of the time shortage. The next and last service is the cultural service. Perhaps people from West Bengal are very familiar with this picture, but just for the information of people who are from the other states, this is a very fascinating story of a goddess called Bon Bibi. So for Muslims, she is Bon Bibi. For Hindus, she is Vanadurga. And mythology goes like that. A king called Dakhin Rai attacked Sundarbans, and he wanted to enslave the local fisherfolk. The fisherfolk actually surrendered to this goddess and her brother, and they prayed to her that, "Oh goddess, please save us from this invasion." The goddess with her brother and tiger went out and actually fought with the invader. And then this is how people over there, they got their freedom. So even today in India and Bangladesh, the fisherfolk, when they go out for fishing, they actually worship this goddess. So for Muslims, she is Bon Bibi, and for Hindus, she's Vanadurga, and she's an excellent example of our natural unity. Then of course, like any other forest, Indian mangroves have many plants. We have more than 67 plant species in Indian mangroves, the most dominant being grey mangrove. For 2 reasons: it can withstand high salinity plus high pollution. That is why it is very, very common on west coast of India. Then we also have 2 species of apple mangroves. They are called so because of the fruit. If you observe the fruit, it is apple-like in nature. And these plants are also very sturdy. Both the apple species are very sturdy. In fact, they are also called as pioneer mangroves because whenever mangroves plantation takes place, these are planted first because they can, withstand the negative or the harsh environment. And with their support, then other species will grow. One more uniqueness about this mangrove apple is that it will bloom at night time. So, night dwelling creatures like bats will feed on the fruits and flowers of this plant, and they will pollinate this species. Then we also have very delicate plants like river mangrove, which grow in less line area, but they have very fragrant and sweet flowers, which are favorite of honeybees. So in India and Bangladesh, they are also planted wherever the fisher folks want to practice the apiculture. We have orange mangroves used to make charcoal in local areas. We have red mangroves that is used to make tea in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. So in India, how we make tea using tea leaves, in these countries, they use the stilt roots of red mangroves to brew or to boil the tea. We also have blind your eyes mangrove or milky mangrove. It is called so because it has milky latex, and by chance this latex touches your eyes, and if you don't go to the doctor immediately, you may develop temporary blindness. And that is why it is called as Sur in Marathi, which literally means revenge, or blind your eyes in English. We also have Miswak Berries. The famous Indian toothpaste brand Miswak actually uses roots of this particular plant as binding agent. Nature also speaks its own language. So we have this sea holly. Whenever the mangrove ecosystem is degrading, the primary plantation is falling apart, then the sea holly will take over, and the dominance of this plant tells us that mangrove ecosystem is in danger. Not only plant, mangroves also have unique biodiversity, as we discussed. For example, this mangrove crab, you can see how it is eating the mangrove fruit. So in mangrove ecosystem, the whole food chain starts from decaying and sort of soil and leaf litter. So it is called as dead. Oh yeah, it's a video. You can actually see how it is eating. We also have many migratory birds coming to Mumbai. We have rosy starlings coming all the way from Europe and Central Asia. We have telescopium shell, a very native, protein-rich, nutritious shell, again favorite of the local fisher folk. We have fiddler crabs. We have mudskipper fish, which can survive out of water for many, many hours. And in fact, it is one of the first primitive vertebrates that actually, shifted itself from the water to the land. So if you want to discuss again, each of this animal, believe me, has a very unique characteristic, and they have habits, and they play an important role in ecosystem. But of course, we can't touch every aspect. Thankfully, India also is the country with very good legislation. Mangroves are protected in India by Environment Protection Act, the Coastal Zone Regulation Notification, CRZ notification plays very important role in protecting mangroves because it prohibits construction, dumping of garbage, any kind of pollution in intertidal area. But not only CRZ notification, we also have many other laws, as you can see on the slides. And if you want to really protect mangroves, you can take help of these particular laws and file a complaint with police department or with the forest department. Now at Godrej, what we do is we have 3-pronged strategy. We are into research of mangroves. We have been doing biodiversity assessment, ecosystem assessment, what are their services. We also have a high focus on education research. We try to come up with different education modules, as Elsie was telling. So this is all falls under research, which we do in collaboration with colleges or with professional researchers. We also have a focus on conservation, where we need to protect this forest. So because this forest is in Mumbai, there are attempts of encroachment or dumping of garbage or construction waste, which we need to stop. Sometimes the channel creeks gets blocked, which needs to be cleared. In the summers, we see fires in the grassland. So we had to stop that immediately. Animal rescues is a very, very critical component for us. Every year we get almost 50 to 60 snakes or birds in our houses or offices, because Godrej is practically located very close to mangroves. We are like their neighbors. So for us, we keep on telling people, our employees and residents, we have 3 colonies, that we have to coexist with nature. And if anything happens, if we are in risk, we will call the rescuers and get the animals out. But please do not kill any snakes and animals. So all this happens in conservation. And of course, we have awareness as our last strategy, wherein we conduct nature trails, webinars, poster presentations. We also have a website. We have a storybook. So if you are interested to download this free of cost educational resources, please visit our website, mangroves.godrej.com. We have a poster set, which you can download and print and hold a poster exhibition. We have a storybook in English and Marathi called Many Secrets of Mangroves, because we thought that if you want to start with young children, this lectures and presentation is going to be very boring. So why not start with a story? So this is a storybook on a family that gets lost on a mangrove island and how they realize mangroves are important. We also have Asia's first mobile app on mangroves. Again, our idea was that we know that there are not many books and resource persons that can identify mangrove species. And if you want to conserve anything, the first thing you need to do is you need to understand it. So this is the first mobile app of Asia. We have described visually and textually all the 67 mangrove species in it. And I'm very happy to tell you that the app is available in 11 languages. So in Gujarati, Marathi, Konkani, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Oriya, Bengali, Hindi, and English. So our attempt is to reach even a fisher folk that has a mobile or nature guide in Maharashtra or West Bengal, who can download this app. And the beauty of this app is once you download this app, then you do not need an internet connection, because we all know that mangroves are so remote that practically there is no internet over there. So you just download the app only once and you are free to use it. I'm very happy to tell you that this app has been downloaded not only in India, it is in use in 109 countries. So in that sense, it has taken India's name in mangrove conservation abroad and to be in other countries. So considering the time shortage, I have only chosen to speak about few aspects. Elsie, over to you.
Thank you so much, Amar. That was absolutely such a delightful presentation. In fact, all the nuances and the new concepts and the insights into, whatever work that you've done. And of course, I know that your work goes beyond mangroves, but what a celebration of World Wetlands Day coming from you. Very, very well elaborated. And congratulations on the app. That is new to me, and it's very, very highly useful. And we are going to be using it. And I hope to collaborate and to work together. Thank you so much for your insights. And this brings us to the end. Before we go into the question and answer session, we're running out of time. I would like Bhavesh, if you can, please present the Climate Reality Project video on World Wetlands Day. This day would not be complete without that presentation of that video.
Okay,
Bhavesh.
sure. Yeah, just let me.
And then post the video, we will have question and answers. I've seen many hands raised. Thank you so much for your patience. And the younger student community can always put their questions in the chat box if we don't take it live. Over to the video. That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Bhavesh. Absolutely. And if you can, I think we'd like to go in for a few questions, or would we take the questions on the chat box, Bhavesh?
Yeah, let's just hear them out quickly. Kanak, please. Kanak, quickly. Yeah.
Your question, please. Okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to ask any of our speakers a question, please? Very quickly. We have time for 2 questions. Yes, Vandana, please go ahead.
Vandana, please. Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I wanted to check about the Godrej project. Is this something that is aimed only at the residents of their own complexes, or is this something that is open to anyone in Bombay and the surrounding, or even across India?
The project is absolutely open for visit to outsiders. It is not at all only for the employees and residents.
Right.
Pandemic, we had to stop nature trails because of COVID.
Yes,
Before,
of course.
it is very regular feature for Mumbai schools and colleges to come and visit us. And my colleague and me, we conduct guided nature trails over there. So it's like you have to block the visit and come as a group. And we take you over there in a small portion, which is open for people. It's a safe area.
Thank you. And even for the research, it's possible to align with your work and maybe either benefit from research or research for you?
Yeah, very much, very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We have time for 1 more question, please.
Amrita, quickly. Yeah.
Okay, sir, I want to ask to Dr. Ray regarding the monospecies planting of mangroves, and as well as some of the major difficulties they had faced in restoration, and how did the citizens participation, like did the citizen have the citizens participated, and what are her thoughts on the citizen participation regarding restoration?
Yeah, Amrita, thank you for your question. Actually, it was a small venture. It was entirely research based. So there was no scope for citizens' participation. We were just optimizing our restoration technology. So here we mainly worked with our field staff and the local Gram Panchayat. We just asked their cooperation not to disturb what we are planting, all these things. And the forest department was also with us, but it is a settlement area. So forest department do not have much control there. So we have to depend on the local people there. But it's not like community plantation, you can understand. We have to identify each of the mangroves. We have to collect each of the types of mangroves, they propagule from several. You can't find them all together in a same area. So they are far areas. We have to travel by boat, and this is really costly. The travels are very expensive. As my funding agency, they funded this entirely for research, so we could do this. But it's not easy for others on these community plantation projects. It's not easy to find this kind of rare propagules and all these things. So had it been possible, then it would be wonderful. But generally people go for the best available propagule. So in Sundarbans, it's Bugaria gymnorrhiza or Sunraysia or this Avicennia, all these things, people use it. But whatever they use, I think it may be plantation, it may be ecological restoration, whatever, any kind of plantation is always going to save our climate, always going to save our wetlands. So I welcome community participation also. And if possible, I would like to work with community also, because in my work, I didn't get much scope to work with community, because I had to develop several research experiments there, on field experiments. I had to analyze the data in the laboratory. So there are lots of other things associated with my job, but others can take over from me. The groups like Elsie's group and others, they can take over. I can give them training, and they can disseminate this knowledge. That would be the real success. So any kind of restoration approach is welcome. That is going to save our mangroves, that is going to save our wetlands. So whether it's ecological restoration, whether it's community participation, I'm always for that. For plants, I can do anything.
Thank you so much, ma'am. People like you really, really sacrifice so much of your time and efforts for planet Earth. And as scientists, you inspire us. And we know that we are going to progress because of people like you. And to all our esteemed panelists here this evening, thank you so much for being here. I would like, on behalf of Dr. Eric Barucha, to apologize. He is unwell and unavailable, so he'll not be making it. But thank you so much, all the panelists, and to all the participants, the young participants. We welcome you to collaborate, email us, and get us on Instagram, Facebook, and our website, and join Climate Reality Project India, Young Environmentalist Program Trust, and collaborate and work with these veterans that you've heard here today. Work and join hands and network and take the mission of restoration of our degraded planet in the field of wetlands and much more other areas in the biodiversity. So I'd like to say thank you, and I'd love to have a closing note from Mr. Bhavesh, please.
Again, thanks so much, Elsie, for acting as a catalyst to this wonderful session. Thank you so very much, speakers. You were superb. The kind of response we have got from the student community, from people who have joined us, they are asking for links and they are asking for collaborations. This means we have been able to do some good out there. And thank you so very much to all the participants who took time and remain there for this extended time limits as well. This means we were able to invigorate the spirit of wetland conservation amongst you. Let's collaborate more and more. Let's not limit to this webinar alone. Email IDs would be exchanged with all of you. So let's do our bit in terms of wetland restoration. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Elsie.
Thank
Bhavesh.
you. Have a very good evening.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, please stay in touch. You can always connect. Have a very good day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.